back in the late 90s when Outkast, against all odds, had managed to revolutionize rap. From its iconic gangsta persona to a more spacey, relaxed theme. They not only put the South on the map, but also opened up the gateway for new Southern rappers to go big. With the stage set, there wasn't a better opportunity to jump into the music scene. That's exactly what Ludacris did. Except he wasn't your average rapper, he was the man with the plan. Or in this case, the rapper with the plan. What followed was a string of successes to his career, with the latest being. So how really did he do it? What was his journey like? Well, we need to go way back to understand his full story. In 1986, in the streets of Champaign, Illinois, 9-year-old Christopher Brian Bridges was rapping with a group known as Loudmouth Hooligans. How did he end up there? Well, born as the only child of college students Roberta Shields and Wayne, his parents split when he was young. Christopher, then with his mom, experienced a tough upbringing. With no job, Roberta tried all kinds of side hustles to keep their heads above water. She wasn't home much. As a result, Christopher found himself drawn to the street hip-hop scene. Thanks to his early influences like Ghetto Boys and Uncle Scarface, he had such a passion that he made up his mind at 9 that he was going to be a rapper. At around 12 years, he and his mom moved to Atlanta, where he attended Oak Park River Forest High, and eventually graduated at Banneker High School in 1995. He always credits his mom for being strict with him to ensure he stayed in school and studied hard. If he was going to go on with school, he might as well study what he likes. Talk about the long game. From 1998 to 1999, he studied music management at Georgia State University. To add to that, Ludacris served as an intern and then a DJ at Atlanta's Hot 97.5 under the name Chris Lova.
I was like, what better place than to, make a job for myself where I can constantly give all these people my music every damn day.
During his radio career, Ludacris met music producer Timbaland, whose album would feature Ludacris on the track Fat Rabbit. He was already recording his debut album, Incognito, with production from Jermaine Dupri and Organized Noise, which he released independently on his own indie label, Disturbing the Peace, in August 17, 1999. With this solo effort, he sold 50,000 copies to the South through his grassroots efforts from the trunk of his car. What's interesting is, he still has that car to date. The man enjoys a good souvenir. The album reached number 4 on the US Billboard 200 and included the singles What's Your Fantasy and Southern Hospitality. After signing with Def Jam South, he would later repackage Incognito with some new songs added into Ludacris's major label debut, back for the first time in 2000. Rolling Stone picked up on Ludacris's lively rap style, calling him that rare brand of rapper who shows you his skills as much as he tells you about them. In 2001, Ludacris contributed the hit single Area Codes to the soundtrack to the film Rush Hour 2. It was also included on his next album, Word of Moof, released later that year. The Word of Moof lead single, Rollout, was nominated for the Grammy Award for Best Male Rap Solo Performance in the 2003 Grammy Awards. Two other singles reached the Hot 100 in 2002, Saturday and Move, featuring Mystical, which peaked at number 10. Aside these successes, Ludacris secured a partnership with Pepsi for a major TV ad campaign. But not long, former Fox News host Bill O'Reilly called on his viewers to boycott Pepsi, declaring, "I'm calling for all responsible Americans to fight back and punish Pepsi for using a man who degrades women, who encourages substance abuse, and does all the things that hurt, particularly the poor in our society." This had a stretched effect as Pepsi pulled the spot from the air. But then 6 months later, Pepsi appeared hypocritical when they aired a Super Bowl commercial with Ozzy Osbourne, whose own discography doesn't exactly fit the image they seem so concerned about with Chris. In response to that, Russell Simmons and Hip Hop Summit Action Network threatened their own boycott. They demanded that Pepsi apologize to Ludacris, put his commercial back on the air, and donate $5 million to his foundation. Pepsi caved in and chose to work with the Hip Hop and Network Foundation by donating an annual $1 million for 3 years. But Ludacris commercial was never brought back on air. In April 2003, Ludacris released single Act a Fool from the soundtrack of the movie Too Fast, Too Furious, where Ludacris played Tej Parker. Director John Singleton brought Ludacris into the franchise after failing to secure Ja Rule's return for the sequel to The Fast and the Furious. This marked his entry into the entertainment world, and it was quite the start. Still on top of his music career, he went ahead and released his next album, Chicken and Beer, on October 7, 2003. Guest appearances were big, as he was then. They included Snoop Dogg, I-20, among others. The single, Stand Up, appeared on both Chicken and Beer as well as the soundtrack for the teen hip-hop dance movie, You Got Served. Produced by Kanye West, Stand Up went on to become one of Ludacris's biggest mainstream hits to date, hitting the top spot on the Billboard Hot 100, garnering heavy airplay on mainstream pop and radio. However, in 2006, he found himself at the United States District Court in New York to defend a 3-year-old song. The tune in question was his 2003 hit Stand Up, as both Ludacris and Kanye West, who produced the track, were being sued for copyright infringement. The case alleged that Stand Up ripped off the 2001 song Straight Like That by a group called IOF. Both songs repeated the phrase "like that" more than 80 times. But that seemed less than enough for the jury, as it took them less than 24 hours to conclude there was no copyright infringement. To Ludacris, he felt confident the whole time. To his assurance, he came out the victor. "I hope the plaintiffs enjoyed their 15 minutes of fame," Ludacris said after the verdict. The album's next single, Splash Waterfalls, was released in early 2004. It became the only time he has produced 2 consecutive top 10 singles from a solo album. Later that year, Ludacris received his first Grammy Award with Usher and Lil Jon for their hit single, Yeah. Ludacris took a more mature approach to his 4th album, The Red Light District, released on December 7, 2004. The album did very well, debuting at number 1 on the Billboard chart. Not only that, but also it sold 322,000 copies in its first week alone. On September 29, 2005, it received a double platinum certification by the RIAA for selling 2 million units. Sohail Khalid helped produce this album with various artists such as T.I., Lil Flip, and Bun B, which only added points to its spectacular performance. Ludacris openly boasted that he may be the only rapper able to keep the Def Jam label afloat on the opening track. We cannot forget to mention the iconic single Get Back, in which he was featured as a muscle-bound Hulk who was being annoyed by the media and warned critics to leave him alone. That was something. With the success of his album in the mainstream, he was starred in the 2005 film Crash. This move was meant to get his feet wet in the acting scene. At the time, he was a nervous actor in a star-studded cast. He was able to land this high-profile role thanks to the support of one of his co-stars, Don Cheadle. Don was also one of the film's producers, and he immediately recognized Ludacris's star potential after reviewing his audition tape. And you guessed it, the camera loved the guy. By the time the award season rolled in, Ludacris was celebrating a bunch of awards with his castmates. Among them was an Oscar award. He first appeared on Saturday Night Live as a special guest, performing with musical guest Sum 41 on a season 30 episode hosted by Paul Giamatti. He then recorded Get Back with Sum 41 to make a rock crossover single. The follow-up single was the Austin Powers-inspired #1 spot. It was produced by New York City's Hot 97 personality DJ Green Lantern. It used the Quincy Jones sample of Soul Bossa Nova and sped it up to the tempo of Ludacris's rap flow. In an issue of XXL, Ludacris was placed in the #9 spot for the most anticipated albums of 2006 for Release Therapy. The album Release Therapy was released on September 26, 2006. Ludacris formatted the CD to have 2 sides, a release side and a therapy side on a single CD. Release Therapy won the Best Rap Album Award at the 2007 Grammy Awards. His album then reached #1 on the Billboard 200 album charts with sales of 309,000 in its first week. With the release of this album, Ludacris marked a change in style in his career with his musical style. The new album itself features a departure of the lighthearted mood of his previous albums and introduces a darker side. A change of hair accompanied this as he cut off his trademark braids for a more conventional fade cut. To promote the album, Ludacris returned to Saturday Night Live on November later that year. While his later albums, Theater of the Mind in 2008, Battle of the Sexes in 2010, and Ludaversal in 2015, show a decline in both sales and productivity, much of this is down to Ludacris's focus on other aspects of his career, including acting and philanthropy. He opened a chicken and beer restaurant at the Atlanta airport at the end of 2016 and has a stake in Conjure Cognac. His Ludacris Foundation, founded in 2001, focuses on community outreach to youth. Regarding his personal life, Ludacris is a family man. Ludacris has a daughter named Karma Bridges, who was born on August 2001 from a relationship with an attorney from Atlanta. He also has a daughter, Bella Bridges, born in December 2013, with Tamika Fuller, a longtime friend. From 2009 until their marriage in 2014, he dated model Eudoxie Mbugiengwe, whom he got engaged and married to on the same day. In early the following year, Eudoxie announced via Instagram they welcomed a baby girl. Not long after, they would have their second kid in 2021. With such a big family, you can do nothing else but wish the man all the best in life. Ludacris remains to be one of the goated smart rappers that seem to know what to always do in the industry. His success was earned through careful planning and discernment. It is safe to say his career was a success. He is a good example for new and upcoming rappers to follow suit. We wish him all the best, and God bless you all.